Hello, beautiful mamas to be. I'm Brett Larkin. This is a class in which we're going to do yoga as well as some journaling and a brief meditation to face some of our fears when it comes to childbirth and labor. It is extremely normal to have fear about this process. I know I have many. So I'm going to be offering a variety of techniques throughout this class to help you shift some of those fears and get a greater awareness of them, maybe transform some of them. The goal is for these fears to be on paper, out in the open, and not clogging up our subconscious. What you'll need for this class is simply a yoga mat, a journal, and a pen. Put it right nearby your mat. And 2 yoga blocks are also going to be great. To begin, come into either puppy pose or a very wide downward facing dog. So I'll show both options. Puppy pose, your hips will be stacked over your knees and you'll just walk the hands forward. So this is option 1. Option 2, if you want to come into downward dog, just take the legs nice and wide. So my big toes are on the mat, but my pinky toes are on the wood in my house. And then bend the knees generously if you're in down dog, let the head drop. And very slowly extend the legs. Maybe pedal through one leg and the other. And whether you're in puppy or dog, you can sort of fan the seat from side to side. So just taking the hips a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. Letting yourself just drop into your breath. Sinking into this moment. And then drop the knees to the floor if you were in your downward facing dog. Inhale, find a up cat, so just taking the shoulder heads back, opening across the heart. And then exhale, down cat to round, so hugging your baby up and in, deeply rounding the low back. Letting the head drop, a few more. Breathing in to arch. Exhaling, draw your baby towards your spine, head drops. Last one. Then come into a neutral spine. Take the right hand high to the sky. You can widen the knees apart if you like. Just stretch here. Maybe take the seat back towards the heels as you stretch that right arm up. And take the right seat forward. Once more, right seat back towards the heels. And forward. And then right arm threads underneath the left armpit. Just coming into a gentle twist. Take the left hand outside the left temple and just press the left hand really powerfully into the earth and look for a juicy stretch along where the low back and mid back connect, maybe between the shoulder blades. 3 deep breaths. Good, and then come back to center. You can flow through that up cat, down cat motion. And then take the left hand high to the sky. So really reach it up, feel this opening across the chest, and then take the seat towards the heels, and the seat, baby. Back up and forward, and then to the heels and maybe back up. So just some intuitive movement here. Should just feel good on the shoulders and low back. Nice, and then taking it into that twist. This time the right palm outside the right temple. Really press the right palm into the mat. Hug your baby up towards the ceiling so the belly's not dropping towards the floor. You're hugging baby in towards the spine, towards the ceiling, and then press down through that right palm even more so you feel a juicy twist along the spine. 4 more deep breaths here. Lengthen your tailbone back. Press the shins and the tops of the feet into the mat. Gaze and jaw are soft. Come back to center. Your choice, puppy pose or downward facing dog. So puppy, you just walk the hands forward. Down dog, lift the hips, pedal through the legs. And drop into your breath. Walk the feet and hands towards one another now. If you have your blocks, place them in front of you. If you don't have blocks, you can always put the hands on the thighs. We're just going to inhale, come into a half lift, flat back. And exhale to fold. You can deeply bend the knees. You can take the feet super wide apart. No tension in the head or neck. So inhaling, pressing hands into shin or thighs if you don't have the block. Exhale, deeply rounding. And of course, if you have blocks at home, I suggest having them on the highest height, pressing in to the blocks or legs to get long through the spine on the in-breath. And exhale, surrendering on the out-breath. We'll do this 4 more times. So really make these juicy. Really deeply bend the knees on the exhale. Allow yourself to get lost in your own movement. Good. And then after this next one, deeply bend the knees. Let your whole body hang. Clasp opposite elbows. Maybe take the elbows over to the left. Traction the right side of the low back. And then take your elbows over to the right and feel that traction the left side of your low back. Keep the knees deeply bent. Come back to center. And then slowly round up to stand. Take your time. Hands on baby. When you arrive at the top of the mat, you can just move the hips side to side. Sort of a swaying Tadasana. Good, and then inhale, circle the arms down, around and up. Exhale, press the air away. Twice more like that. Inhale, just reach up. Linking breath and movement. Exhale, press the air away. Last time, inhale, reach. This time, step your left foot behind your right. So you're coming into a cross leg position. And then hold your left wrist with your right hand. So you'll be going the opposite direction of me at home. And just come into a side stretch. Let the breath be full here. You can micro bend that front knee for a deeper stretch. Lengthen your tailbone down and hug your baby up and in. One more big breath. Good. And then reach back up to the sky. Exhale, hands press away. Breathe in, reach up. And this time your right foot steps behind your left. Hold on to the right wrist with the left hand and big side body stretch. So the low back will want to overly arch here. So really hug baby towards you, engage and firm in those low abs. So you're keeping the navel moving towards the spine and the tailbone lengthening towards your heels. You can micro bend that front knee for a deeper side stretch. Pull, pull, pull. Good. And then come back, reach both arms up. Exhale, come down into a yogi squat. So you're gonna take your feet wide, toes point at 45-degree angles towards the corners of the mat. Option one, you can just press the elbows into the thighs here and just sort of rock side to side. And if you do this, stick the seat back and really allow yourself to come into a flat back shape so you feel your spine parallel to the floor. Keep pressing the elbows into the thighs for a nice inner thigh stretch. And then you can stay here, or if you have the range of motion, only if you were doing this pre-pregnancy, you'll come down into a full squat. And great modifications here to use the block underneath your seat or to sit up on a cushion. And remember, you can always just be up here. That's completely fine. Just take 3 deep breaths. Good, and then making your way back into either puppy or downward facing dog. Really mindful of how you transition and get there. Just stepping back, either seat over knees or down dog. And 3 deep breaths here. Drop down to the knees if you're not there already, and we're just gonna slide the right knee forward, coming into a pigeon. So definitely don't make this your deepest pigeon. Keep the ankle pretty much underneath you here, so you're not trying to get the shin parallel to the front of the mat or anything like that. We're just looking for a gentle hip stretch. You can press the hands into the mat, drag your right hip back and your left hip forward just energetically, and just see what this feels like. If you at home want to put blocks or cushions underneath your seat to make this more easeful, please do. Otherwise, you're going to fold forward, find your journal, which is hopefully here at the top of the mat, to do some of our first journaling questions. And if you don't like being in this position, that's totally fine. You can just journal in Baddha Konasana, which is another hip opening pose, equally effective with the soles of the feet touching. And you can always balance your journal on a block or some extra books. So you're either journaling here or you're journaling in a pigeon. One's not better than the other. So I'd like you to write down here some adjectives that come to mind that you want to manifest for your labor, for your birth. So we're not talking about specifics of how you're going to be giving birth, because labor resists all our best laid plans to control it. But instead, these are adjectives on how you want to feel. So for example, if I write empowered or sexy as some of my adjectives, or strong, or fierce, or calm, or serene, these are all adjectives that would work. So just write down a couple now. Try to kind of narrow it down to your top 3 or 4. I'll give you a couple minutes here. Nice. And if you're in Baddha Konasana, stay in the stretch. So if you have soles of feet touching, just stay there. If you're like me in pigeon, just switch it out to the other side. So you're just going to slide the left knee forward. You can keep the heel close into the body. You can prop up either hip, pressing down, taking now the left hip back and the right hip forward. And next, we're going to now look at the adjectives that you wrote down in whatever seat is comfortable for you if you're not here with me in pigeon. And I want you to jot down, looking at these adjectives, maybe circle, if you wrote a lot of them, the 3 that really stick out the most, what kind of things you'd do in a non-birth, non-labor context if you wanted to feel that way. So if I wrote, for example, I wrote empowered, and I also wrote sexy, which I realize is, and powerful. So if I wanted to feel that way in a non-labor context, some things that I would do on a practical level is make sure I was wearing something that made me feel sexy and empowered and powerful. I would probably have makeup on. I might even get my hair done. Maybe I'd have some flash tattoos or just fun jewelry on as well. So look at your adjectives. And for example, if you wrote calm, it's like, well, what things would you do if you wanted to feel calm in a non-labor context? So that might mean listening to some music or lighting some candles or smelling some lavender essential oil, right? So for each of your adjectives, write down just some normal life things that you would do to cultivate that feeling, to cultivate that adjective. Good, and once you're done with that, you're just going to transition to a seated posture in easy pose. So you can stay in Baddha Konasana or shins crossed. Sitting up on a cushion might be a really good idea. Always sitting with the hips over the knees is great for any meditation, but especially for pregnancy. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, float the hands down. Once more, inhale, reach the arms up. And match your out breath as you float the arms down. Inhale, reach the arms up, and this time hold the right elbow with the left hand. Press the head into the bicep. And hopefully feeling a stretch along the right bicep, get taller through the crown of the head. Notice if your baby in your belly are poking out and your low back is arching, draw your baby towards you. Close your eyes here, and this is where we're just going to invite in all the fear. So you're feeling this nice shoulder bicep stretch, and you're inviting all your fears to come gather around you in this meditation seat. So we focused on the positive, how we want to feel. Now we're going to invite in the negative, hold some space for it, hold court, and then we'll do a final exercise at the end to shift. So whatever your fears are, just let them be present with you in this shoulder stretch. Just imagine each fear sitting around you, like each fear was its own little person or gremlin. Deepen the breath. And then release the stretch, take the arms down. Find your journal once again and just list out those fears that visited you. What were they? They could be as big as perhaps I might die or my baby might die, or they could be as small as I'm worried that I won't have as much free time, right? Like it really can be anything. The point is that we're going to list them all now. So again, make sure you're in an ergonomic writing seat. So using blocks or a table or just getting comfortable. Just list the fears, whether they're large or small, anything that showed up in your space. If you need more help, right, you're writing, I'm scared that blank. I'm scared that blank. I'm scared that blank. Just make a long, long list. start to finish up, and remember, you can always pause the video if you want more time to write all your fears. Really think through and write them all out. It's really helpful to get them down on paper. When you're ready, set your journal and pen aside. And just creating some space for everything we just opened up about. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, press away. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, deep breath out. Good. And then this time, inhale, reach. Hold the left elbow with the right hand, or just opposite bicep stretches before. Press the head into the bicep. Draw the low belly in, firm your abs up and in, and press your head into your bicep. And deepen your breath and close your eyes. See each of your fears surrounding you now, still seated in a circle around you or semicircle around you. Just allowing them to be there in this space with us, not trying to change anything, just acknowledging them. They're now on the page and also in our space. Last big breath here in the stretch. Good, and then take your hands down, either into your lap or just resting on your baby. And just take a few moments here to be with all our fears, to accept the as-is-ness of the situation. So instead of trying to run from it or change for it or transform it, just acknowledge that birth can be frightening, that fears can come up, that your fears deserve space. So we're just practicing sitting with all our fears without feeling the need to react or do anything about them. Just be present. Be present for your fear. Notice if the mind immediately wants to think about something else or thinks this is stupid or starts spinning some sort of story about what we're doing. Try to just come back to your breath and the idea that right now you are sitting with your fears, making space for them, without projecting into the past or future, without trying to run away or change anything. You're just present. Now gently blink the eyes open. Bring your journal back to you now. And I want you to look at the adjectives that you wrote at the beginning. Then I want you to look at your list of fears and see how you could infuse those adjectives of how you want to feel into each of those fears. So say this fear happened, came to pass, became a reality. Could you be present and breathe into that like we just did with all the fears surrounding us? 1. And 2, could you take it a step farther and actually infuse that fear with some of the ways you want to feel? So if one of your fears perhaps is that you'll have to have an emergency C-section, is there a way that you could be with the as-isness of that, meaning just accept that it's happening, just like we accepted all our fears sitting with us? Can you breathe into that and accept that it's reality? 1. And 2, is there a way that you could have that emergency C-section and still feel powerful and sexy and strong, or whatever the adjectives you are writing, calm, in a state of grace, in love, enamored, joyful, blissful, whatever it is? And then just go through your fears and ask yourself that question. 1, can you sit with it, accept it, breathe into that reality? 2, could you even infuse it with the adjectives of how you desire to feel? And the answer doesn't have to be yes for all of them, but you're just going to go through and ask. And for the ones that are a yes, you can check mark it or write yes. If you're not sure, you can write maybe. And if you definitely don't think you can be with that as a reality, you can write no. So I'll give you some time to do that now. So please pause the video if you need more time. Otherwise, take a look. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below as we wrap up the class at the end. But I had only 2 fears that I wasn't able to sit with at all or infuse my adjectives into. All the others I was able to either sit with or even see how I could infuse those adjectives of how I want to feel. And now we'll end by simply meditating on our 3 or 4, however many it is for you, adjectives of how you want to feel and cultivating that feeling in your body. Because if we just visualize our ideal birth, right? For some of us that might be a water birth or a home birth or a certain experience in a hospital or birthing center. And the reality is that we have no control, right? Our babies are going to come into the world the way they want to. And the more we can accept that we have no control over the specifics of the situation, we only have control over how we choose to feel, the better prepared we're going to be. So cultivate how you want to feel those adjectives. Close your eyes. You can have the hands on the lap, on your baby, anywhere that's comfortable for you. And just see each of those adjectives on the screen of your mind. And then begin to embody them in your heart. Cloak yourself in these adjectives as if it's a costume or a cape that you're wearing. Visualize how you look, how you act, what you listen to, what you eat, what you're doing, what you're wearing when you're fully in these adjectives. And fill yourself up, embodying that right now in this tall, regal seat. See yourself in your ideal birth experience and place, so richly embodying these three adjectives. See it like a movie in the screen of your mind. And now visualize yourself in an unplanned birth experience, so not your ideal. And see yourself in that place and space, embodying these three adjectives. What does that look like? From here, you can stay seated in this meditation or lie back into Shavasana, just Just lying on your left or right side, putting pillows underneath your head, between your knees, making yourself as comfortable as possible. If you're staying in the meditation seat, take one hand to your heart and one hand to your baby. And if you're lying down in Shavasana, just relax completely, or you can bring one hand to your baby if that feels right. And say to yourself now, I trust the process of childbirth. I trust my baby and I trust my body. I trust this experience to teach me what it is I need to learn for my own self-development. We'll say the last one together again, internally. Tell yourself, I trust the childbirth experience to teach me what I need to know for my own growth and development. Let these affirmations sink in. I trust the process of childbirth. I trust my body. I trust my baby. I trust that this experience is going to teach me what it is I need to learn for my own growth and self-development. Stay here in this space of affirmation and rest for as long as you like. If you're ready to move on, press yourself up to a comfortable seat, or if you've stayed seated, fuse the palms together at heart center. Gently rub the palms into one another. Take the left hand palm pressing into the heart and chest, and the right palm on top of the left, just fusing in this work, this practice, pressing it into the body via the heart. Knowing that you can return to this space and you can return to this practice every day or every week, leading up to your labor, and that it will serve you. Dip the chin and gently blink your eyes open. Thank you so much for practicing with me. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Mamas, I would love to hear how this class went for you, so please let me know in the comments below this video. Did you find this scary, helpful, frightening? I'd really love to hear from you and get your feedback and any other tips that you want to share of how you're moving through your labor and delivery, staying strong and positive. I would love it if we could all share with one another. Make sure to get all my pregnancy resources and courses at pregnantandpowerful.com. So much love from my heart to yours. Namaste.